YouTube and welcome back to Fire Gaming Project. So in this short video, I'll be doing an updated review of Yanfei because she's currently still on the Yelan banner, and I figured it would be a good opportunity to update my previous review of her. Now I did kind of add to her build a little bit. That's why I wanted to do this video. This actually was part of my 2.6 to 2.7 delay period where I was leveling her up, leveling up Noelle as well, and I recently just finished leveling up Barbara, so it works out that all three of them just happen to be on this banner as well, of course. So let's get to it. All right. Okay, so I'll keep this short and sweet because I already previously did a review for her, and that would still be more or less valid. But here we have on the screen, I did make sure that her crit rate is just over 50%, preferably as high as possible, like 60 or 70 is preferred, maybe even 80. But then your crit damage has to be high as well. Because I don't use her, so I didn't really farm for any really awesome artifacts or anything like that for her. Of course, if she has some more energy, she can definitely do more damage or more often. And pyro damage bonus, of course. And that's her build. I gave her Solar Pearl, the Battle Pass weapon, because that gave her the 27.6 crit rate, as you can see. And of course, her main kit damage is from normal and charged attacks, basically. Her burst and her skill offers good damage, but they're not her main source of damage because they don't actually do as much. You won't be using them as often, let's put it that way. So then, in terms of weapon options, I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible because, again, she's been out for a while now, so people pretty much have an idea. So basically, you would skip the Everlasting Moonglow because it's more of a healing one. Therefore, you would also skip the Prototype Amber. You could give her the Lost Prayer, which is a standard weapon standard banner weapon, as well as a off-rate weapon item that you can get from the weapon banner. So not a rate up one, but an off-rate one. But sometimes it is rated up, as we've seen in the past as well. And then the Oathsworn Eye, which was from a recent event a few patches ago. This one is also very good because it has basic attack percentage, which is universal, and then an energy recharge substat for her elemental skill, which is not a bad one as well. So hopefully you guys picked this up during the event a few patches ago and got it to Refine 5 and level 90. This one, Hakushin Ring, is also a good substat. However, it's not recommended for her because she is not Electro, so we'll skip that one. This is an older event weapon, the first of the two event weapons that we got for Catalyst category. So this is from last year's summer adventure, Midsummer Island adventure with Klee 1.6 patch. So this is also good because it's an attack percentage and also matches her with the red. It has normal attack bonus and charge attack bonus, which is pretty good actually. The reason why I still gave her the Solar Pearl is because I wanted to increase her crit rate instead, and therefore she still get some burst damage and this passive as well. Other ones that you could use are Mappa Mare. If you got this early on, if you got her early on, if you're newer to the game, then this is a nice craftable. I mean, I had this on my Klee for my beginning game, basically, all the way through to the mid game until I replaced it with, I think, Solar Pearl at that point. So, I mean, this is okay too, right? And then Sacrificial Fragments is okay. It's basically another version of the elemental of the Mappa Mare for the elemental mastery aspect. However, this one is more about proccing your elemental skill twice, so it's not as good in this case for Yanfei, because this one is just straight elemental reaction damage. Next, the Witsith. This is also good. If you already have good crit rate for her, then this is good because it gives crit damage. And then when we say crit rate, we mean 50% or more, preferably between 50 to 70 or 80%. And yeah, this also gives her potentially one of 3 bonuses at any random time. And, you know, they're all good for her kit. Lastly, there is also a few more here to go. So Thrilling Tales is a good support weapon. So this is good if you're using her and then swapping her out to somebody else because the next character will get 48% attack bonus for 10 seconds. But this is more recommended for like Barbara or like strictly like support characters, maybe even Sucrose. Some people use it on Lisa or even Mona, right? Like that. Okay. And then Black Cliff Agate, this is also a lovely weapon. This is from the Paimon shop, and this is crit damage as well. So once again, if you have the crit rate, with the Black Cliff weapons, I recommend them as placeholders. However, the passive is not sustainable because you do need to kill enemies in order to maintain the stacks. So if you're fighting a boss, which is what we're going to be doing right after this, it won't apply because you won't get the stacks up. And then this is another craftable from the Dragonspine region, Frostbearer. Not many people have this because this was not, you don't get a free one from the storyline. You have to actually craft it, and I do have it to R5. This is okay too. It's an attack stat bonus, as well as it has normal and charge attacks, and it also can create a Everfrost, a Cryo Crystal Icicle. So then there can be a potential melt situation here, but I wouldn't count on the damage too much from the crystal or the icicle itself. But this is also a nice weapon for her, to be honest. And then Favonius Codex, I think this is the last one here that we're going to talk about. This is your general placeholder weapon that's universal for any character. All the Favonius series, all the Skyward series are basically meant to be universal weapons, Skyward being the 5-star version and Favonius being the 4-star version. There is no well, the other one is sacrificial fragments, which we talked about. However, in this case, it doesn't work for her. So yeah, and then there are no other ones that I believe are here. I don't have the Skyward Atlas, and I don't have the Memory of Dust. So I'll quickly talk about those. Skyward Atlas is a 5-star weapon. It's preferably for Ningguang, but it's also a very universal weapon. It shares, I'm going to quickly switch out to show Ito's weapon. It shares a passive similar to the Unforged because they're from the same collection series. So it's about shield strength, and it's about doubling your damage if you're shielded. So that's what it would be. And then the Skyward Atlas, I don't have it. However, it would share some similar traits to the passive on Skyward Spine, for example, from the same series. It would be an energy recharge one with minor crit rate increase, minor attack and damage, and possibly attack speed as well for that one. So it's also a nice, lovely weapon. However, I don't have either of those, so I just want to quickly mention that. Artifact set. So for her, she would be preferred to have the Crimson Witch of Flames. Other options for her would be Shimenawa set, possibly if you want to do her 2-piece Gladiator, 2-piece Shimenawas, or the new ones like the Echo set or the Vermilion set, because those are also set bonus of 18%. You can also give her the Emblem set, of course, because Emblem is pretty universal. Emblem and Shimenawa, you can never really go wrong for most of the characters, but for Emblem to really get its real true value, you have to make sure that she has lots of energy recharge. So for me, I did not farm specifically for her. I just had lots of Crimson pieces left over, and I just gave her what seemed reasonable. So these are the pieces. I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but attack percentage, of course, because we do use her as a sub-DPS, DPS. Usually sub-DPS or support DPS. Pyro damage bonus here, and crit damage or crit rate depending on what you already have for your talent, for your kit. Now we'll go over the Constellation. So I do have her at C6. So C1, her charge attack, basically she'll have increased damage, and the stamina cost is also, let me see. Oh, sorry, it reduces the stamina cost, not increased damage. I read it really quickly. So it's just the stamina cost is decreased, I believe, by 10%. C2, charge attack crit rate is increased by 20%, which is good for enemies under 50% HP. This is plus 3 levels. This is C4. It creates a shield for her, which is very small. It's minor, okay? But, it's based off of her HP, so having some HP substats on her is okay too, but I wouldn't count on that, so don't try to stack her full of HP because that's not going to do her any good. But if you have some pieces that you're not putting on other characters that have HP on there, then it could go to her. And then the shield will absorb some pyro damage, of course. This is plus 3 levels, and then C6 is increased the maximum number of her seals by 1. The seals grant her extra stacks of her damage. Talents, okay. So if we look here, actually I do love this 2.7 thing that they created where you can look at recommended talents. So they recommended that you use more normal attack and her ult, right? Her burst. And then last priority would be her skill, and that's correct because you would normally just be spamming her normal and charge attacks here, and then she has some pretty good multipliers actually. So I did bring her up to level 8, but because I don't use her, I'm not going to go any further. I'll be honest, I only went a little higher with her since the last time I reviewed her because of doing this video. And then this E-skill, it's just a one-time burst basically, so it's not really that big of a deal. So that's why the talent preference recommendation is low for this. And then the burst, it does give pretty okay AoE and some damage, but basically it's it also grants her extra Scarlet Seal and all this extra passive stuff, which is also pretty cool. Okay, then this talent skill, she'll just gain, let me see. When she consumes her Scarlet skills, then she will have extra pyro damage, so that's good. And then this one is when she does her charge attack, she deals a crit hit, then there will be another instance of AoE pyro damage. So that's pretty good. And then lastly, we'll quickly talk about her team compositions, honestly, because pyro is one of the best elements in the game, along with all the other like reactionary ones, right? She can do a lot of reactions. Definitely, you know, you can pair her up with anybody really. You can pair her up with like Yelan if you got her. Xin Chu would be really good because then they're off-field characters, but that can have proc with her to create like you know melt and vaporize. If you have an ice character as well, cryo. Definitely Raiden Shogun is obviously a staple character that you can help because Raiden has her E slash, which is also an off field one, and then there's also like Fischl, etc., etc. And then of course, if you pair up with another Pyro character, then you get the Pyro damage bonus, which I do have Klee here because often Klee is obviously we know that Yanfei is like the 4-star version of Klee, but there's pros and cons for both of them. But we're not really here to talk about Klee right now because that will be coming up soon if she wants to come back in 2.8. So anyway, let's get started. Let's just quickly go and kill this cryo boss. I'm going to break the shield using Yanfei. And we'll just try to bring up her burst as well, which is I'm actually gonna throw out some bombs from like Klee because then that might help. Okay, there we go. So okay, yeah, and then like you know basically you're just gonna be proccing this mostly, and then there isn't really anything else. Like see that was that, and then there's that. So it's not horrible. Like yeah, and then she has her 4 stacks. Like it's not horrible, but it's not like I mean, I would say this. She's not like a must-have character, but she's a nice character to have, and you can definitely build her up to be a pretty strong character as well, especially if you're not going to go for Klee, because I know Klee is more of a niche character now, but when we first started, Klee was all we had in the early days as a special limited Pyro character catalyst, right? So, I mean, I do love my baby Klee, but, you know, definitely Yanfei is here to kind of replace that. And I mean, her range is farther, as you can see when she throws out her fireballs. So there's that too. But I'm not going to compare the two in this video. The point is just to say that this is a good character to build, and she's great, especially if you're like early in the game, mid-game, or playing casually. And if you're not planning to go for Klee, then she's definitely a good one there. If you invest further in her and bring her up to level like 90, also give her like talents a big boost and get better artifacts for her than I did, you'll be fine. And also if you give her like even like a 5-star weapon, she'll be fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please stay tuned for my next video about Noelle, and then the following one will be about Barbara. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.